Today we're exploring Zimbabwe, a country in the southeastern end of Africa. We're going to explore the economy and a bit of the history. I've quite a lot of tabs open on this specific country, learned a lot of different things. The only thing I knew about Zimbabwe really before doing this video was the fact that it was known as Rhodesia years ago, back also when it was a British colony basically, and that it has had huge inflation issues in the last couple of years. So I'm going to go through those topics as well as the fact that Zimbabwe has some very interesting mines and some very, very interesting bits of nature, including the Victoria Falls. So I'm going to go through the more, I suppose, difficult topics first, the more sad topics, the fact that there's been huge inflation issues in Zimbabwe. They had a round of hyperinflation in 2019, and that's led to this idea of trying to create a new currency. Currencies like the dollar, like the US dollar, are more used in Zimbabwe because they actually know it's going to have proper value in a week's time, in a year's time, a bit like in Venezuela when we did that video as well. So here we see Zimbabwe introduces a new gold-backed currency to tackle inflation. Zimbabwe replaces dollar with currency ZIG, which is the gold-backed one. Zimbabwe central bank says it has assets worth 2.5 tons of gold. Yeah, basically that's the current topic there at the moment. This is again CIG and the local news on that. Okay, Zimbabwe had a lot of issues rolling out this new currency. Specifically because they weren't giving out quick enough. Many stores and street vendors similarly accepted only greenbacks, giving out biscuits or candies as change due to a shortage of coins of the new currency. That's a France 24 article. Zimbabwe's new currency suffers chaotic start. Plenty of articles on the different rounds of the currency issues that they've had. Basically, we have a $100 trillion note right here, a bank note that you wouldn't really see normally in a country that has okay inflation. This is a really, really big problem. There were pictures of children playing with coins, playing with banknotes, stacking them high, that we saw in our economics class. Zimbabwe children playing with banknotes, and this is kind of something that happens in countries that have high inflation. They literally it just turns into toys or just into actual paper. This is a picture that I've seen before. Now, this was Germany during the hyperinflation of the Weimar Republic, I believe. There were similar pictures in Zimbabwe as well. Yeah, don't want to show pictures of people actually in my videos too much, but wanted to make that point. Officials, there was a round when they actually were trying to make inflation illegal. In 2007, the new dollar was released. However, inflation was still exceeding 1,000%. So banknotes were kept in storage. In the same month, they declared inflation illegal, outlawing any rises in prices on certain commodities between these dates. Officials arrested executives of some Zimbabwean companies for increasing prices on their products. An economist reported that chaos had started to reign and people in the public sector became frantic. And there's just more and more rounds of these issues. On February 2009, 12 zeros were taken off the currency with, okay, here's a million. Maybe that's a trillion. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, basically it was a very big number anyway. My maths could be better. Hyperinflation issues, yeah, various rounds. And I did have a graph open well back here showing the inflation numbers. That's 2019, 500% inflation in that year. And 2007 was also pretty bad, 2008, 156%. So when you add this over, year on year on year, then things just get really bad. Often they can't even calculate the rate of inflation once things get really out of hand. So they have to denominate the currency, and it's just not good for an economy when you don't know what the value of your money will be in the future and it doesn't hold any value. There's no point holding that currency. So Zimbabwe is kind of one of the main examples I would think of a country having hyperinflation problems. So I think that's all I'm going to touch on that. I don't, as you saw, my maths isn't the best, so I'm not going to go further into that specifically. Yeah, just again, here's some stats on how high the inflation was by 2020, and inflation was estimated, because they don't really know at that point, to be 700%. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to quickly go now to some of the nicer stuff. Zimbabwe is a country of 50 million people. Its largest ethnic group is the Shona, who make up 80% of the population, followed by other minorities. 16 languages are spoken in the region, with English, Shona, and I'm going to try this Ndebele, the most common. That's my attempt there. A quick story on the history there. It is kind of like a cradle of life, a bit like in South Africa. Archaeologists have found records that date back to 500,000 years ago. This is the Great Tower of Great Zimbabwe, which is, do I have a picture of it here? It's an old city. I do have some images, I believe. Some of the really old remains of this city. Just something really cool to see. This is kind of an artist interpretation of what that would have looked like. Talks, well, Wikipedia about the actual historical progression of the country. 1800s, European colonists arrived with Cecil Rhodes, South Africa Company, getting mining rights from the king, the local king. In 1895, the name Rhodesia for the territory was adopted, and then the UK annexed southern Rhodesia in 1923, and then eventually became independent. And there's been lots of different issues with farmers and stuff like where things haven't really run that well in later years. I don't know too much about that. I'm not going to dive into that topic today. I'm going to look at some of the mines, however. A lot of very big mines. The big four products, or at least three, are platinum, gold, and then we have cotton and tobacco. So yeah, the big four products that are exported out of Zimbabwe. We're going to explore some of those mines. Something I learned today, which I've been kind of looking at in my Mongolia and in my Australia videos, when I look at these mines, I hadn't understood. Let's see if I get a good picture here somewhere. What these were. So this is a mine. This is a gold mine in Zimbabwe. We have some equipment here, some sheds, some conveyor belts, where the material is probably sifted and broken down so that the gold can be removed, and then you probably have some settling pits and some chemicals to make the gold separate from the rock. That I can all understand. What I didn't understand was what were these huge pits. I mean, you see so many of these, especially we saw them in the Mongolia video, and I couldn't tell you what they were. Today I figured out they're called tailing dams. Better go make sure it's the correct term. I'll probably skipped ahead of myself here. Anyway, we'll continue. Tailing dam. A tailing dam is typically an earth-filled embankment dam stored to use byproducts of mining operations. Yeah. After separating the ore from the gangu, whatever, or ganj, can't pronounce it properly. Tailings can be liquid, solid, or a slurry of fine particles, and are usually highly toxic and potentially radioactive. And these fail. They actually break down a lot of the time. Here is a bit more. Yes, that's what we just read. Tailing dams are ranked among the largest engineering structures on the earth, and here's something that I might do in my next video for Canada, but we'll skip that. Tailing dams are designed for permanent containment, meaning they're intended to remain there forever. Copper, gold, uranium, other mining operations have this sort of waste that needs to be stored there for long term. An estimated 3,500 in the world, expected that 2 to 5 of them could fail per year, which makes it a much higher failure rate than for water dams. And the height of the tailing dam is typically increased throughout the life of the particular mine. And yeah, why did I show you all that stuff there? Because I want to actually show it from the sky from these maps. Now they know what these are actually meant to be. Here was one. This is another gold mine, I believe. This one's pretty cool. So we have a tailing dam here. It's just really massive. These are bigger than football pitches. They're really huge. So you have this big wall on the outside, and then the materials kind of gets flushed in there and gets left there, and probably evaporates any liquids, and yeah, just gets stored. And they build the wall higher and higher over time. I don't know what this is. This is really cool. This is like the beginning of a new one. Maybe I haven't fully comprehended it yet, but it's something different. Zoom in all the way. It seems to me to be a concrete structure of some description. Here you see another wall on the outside probably in case the one on the inside fails. That's probably the idea of this. You see the way it's sloped all the way up. Here we have what I believe is housing for the miners against like a space colony on Mars or something. That's the way I would describe that. Here we got the same very regular housing, probably all modular, one specific style. It's almost like an army camp. That's how I could describe it. Here's like a mini tailing dam, maybe. Look at these. I thought these were maybe concrete, but it could be just gravel to build up the outside layer. So that's in progress there. So there was one more here, another one in progress. Here, this is almost like they've put in slopes or channels for the liquid, the waste material to be for it to be sinking to one side of it, or for it to be I don't know, maybe to be directed to an edge of it. It's just a massive space. Maybe I'll get up on the other maps to quickly see what distance they are. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a hectic video because I have so many tabs open. Do I have... Here we go. Let's have a look if I can get... come on. I think that's it there. Under construction. Yeah, that's it. I'm pretty sure. I'll just go with it. We're going to do a measurement distance from here, add measure distance across. That's 1 kilometer across. So it's just a massive, massive area. The reason why I have this tab open twice, okay, let's quickly do this one here. This is quite easy. Measure distance, go across there. That is also basically a kilometer. It's 900 meters long. Huge, huge pieces of infrastructure. Here we have a solar farm. You can't see it here yet, but if I go to here, we will see a short video from the company itself. That's why I feel okay playing this Caledonian Solar Project and Tailings Dam, because I'm kind of almost advertising them. Let me quickly play this drone footage. This is the tailing dam itself. So all that material is toxic waste, I'd imagine. And they've built a massive solar plant here, which makes sense. You should probably build solar in Africa. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let's get a bit closer. Yeah, it's good. I mean, a lot of these companies try to be more renewable and clean over time in order to have a good image, but also, you know, it's free electricity once you have the initial infrastructure in place. Okay, I think that's enough of that. This is the website for them. Yeah, about operations, Caledonia Mining Corporation. Listed, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Embarked on a plan to blanket that entails sinking the central shaft at a depth of 1,200 meters. Whatnot. Yeah. 1% net smelter royalty. Gold. There we go. Yeah. High grade gold deposit located. Yeah, there we go. This is a picture from inside the mine. And again, the solar panels from above. Okay, I'm going to close those tabs just so I save my computer and make the show a bit smoother for all of us. Okay. Don't want to... Oh yeah, this is one of the platinum mines. Just really cool, the images again from there. This is what platinum looks like. Zimbabwe's platinum production boomed in 2023, exceeding 500,000 ounces for the first time, but miners are grappling with slumping prices, similar to what's happening in South Africa, which of course is quite close. It makes sense that they have platinum close to each other in that sense. This is the platinum company, simplats.com. Again, a sustainability section here, which most mines and factories are trying to put in order to, I suppose, make their operations more viable into the long term, because they do use a lot of electricity to process stuff. It's also good to see, even though there might be a bit of greenwashing in there too. I have the platinum mine. Okay, we'll just close this tab. Oh wait, actually I wanted to keep that tab. Oh well, it doesn't matter. There was an interesting hydro dam I wanted to show you, but I guess I'll have to move on. This is, I believe this is the platinum mine. Again, a massive waste lake, I guess is what I'm going to call it from now on. These, yeah, tailing dams. Really cool production facility here at this platinum mine. It's a pity I closed that last tab, because that one had a really cool hydro system, and I believe the water could be important for these processes. Maybe that's why there's so much water also in here. Now, of course, if it rains, imagine if it rains, this will fill up very quickly. Where's that water go? Now, these African nations mightn't have that much water, but in the rainy season, yeah, it's a big question for me. Like, what happens with that toxic material? Now, that's not specific to Africa. Every country has these tailing dams, as far as I understand. Look at that big conveyor belt into those towers. It's really cool. That'd be a really cool facility to explore. Some sort of big generator or whatever there. Big tanks, settling tanks perhaps. Huge sheds. More waste pools there. That's really cool. I'll close that tab again. This is a similar one, but again, a really big dam there. This is a crazy one as well. This is the one I showed you. There's actually a primary school located right there, which I think is a bit interesting. Maybe the school was there before the mine was built, either that or there's just a lot of staff who live there now. But this is a huge facility again. And it's just hard to comprehend what's even going on at these locations. But yeah, this is basically the heart of Zimbabwe industry, the heart of the Zimbabwe economy. That's why I'm showing you these pictures. Yeah, I think I'm almost ready now to move on away from the economy. I want to show you a few other things. I'm just going to close up. This is cotton, I believe. Yeah, so when we talk about cotton, cotton is also a very big part of the economy there. These could be remainders of cotton. Now, I thought cotton was more white than that. These look like lorries bringing in material, trucks. This is the processing facility, a ginnery, I think, or a ginny. I could be wrong about that, but it's called something in that direction, these cotton production facilities. I was trying to find a field with cotton in it. I was kind of expecting like white rows looking really nice and tidy, but all I could really find was this stuff. Don't know if that's just random bush. that's cotton at all. I really don't have the eye for it. I did try to find examples of it and kind of failed miserably. But this is the region where most of the cotton is produced in Zimbabwe. It's called Gokwe, Gokwe North and Gokwe South. But there wasn't anything very suggestive on where the cotton was itself. This is a tobacco processing facility. Oh no, wait, sorry, this is the cotton factory. Yeah, my bad. Tobacco's next. This is a cotton factory from Kotco, I think it's called, in Zimbabwe, beside a big power plant here, which I also wanted to show to you with big cooling towers. That big one cooling tower could probably fit all of those inside it. And this looks like a coal depot to me, and a big coal power plant in the capital city called Harare, I believe. Harare, yeah, that's my best guess in that pronunciation. Here is a tobacco factory with lots of cars going in and out of it. And I also found a tobacco, what's the word, producer. I believe this is tobacco leaves here in this big irrigation circle that we've seen so many times in these videos. And these are fields that have been probably just harvested and are being left bare for the moment. Maybe they're being reseeded. You see plenty of the land having similar structure and shapes to that. I think these could be also related to tobacco. Normally, if I see one of these, I'd say they're a chicken house or a greenhouse of some description. Chicken houses look very similar to this. Look at all these bales of material harvested here as well. That's interesting. I'm assuming they're bales or heaps of tobacco leaf or hay or something along those lines. But that was also pretty cool to see. They're probably tobacco indoor units, but again, I'm not the expert yet, unfortunately. Just cool to see it from above. Okay, yeah, that was that mine with the primary school that I wanted to highlight, a school beside a huge mine. I thought that was interesting. And yeah, those were the currency debates there. On to something, again, as I said before, a little bit nicer. Zimbabwe is famous for one more thing, and it's the Victoria Falls. This is something I had heard of as well, the Victoria Falls, but I wasn't sure it was in Zimbabwe. I knew it was in Africa, towards the south somewhere. These are one of the most beautiful falls in the world. If I type in Victoria Falls rainbow, actually, that should give us a really nice thing. It was actually called the Place of the Rainbow by the locals. I spelled that wrong. Okay. Let's have a look. Look at that. That is fantastic. Because the falls are always falling consistently and there's so much mist, these rainbows are there the whole time. It's really beautiful. I'm going to run through this a little bit. With a width of almost 2 kilometers, it is one of the world's largest waterfalls. I think it's not the widest, not the tallest, but just the amount of water that goes through there makes it kind of the largest by a metric in a sense. You may have heard of David Livingstone, the really famous Scottish explorer. He was running around Africa for years, and you may have heard when Mr. Stanley found him, the famous line is Dr. Livingstone, I presume. That's a famous line from when he found the Dr. Livingstone in Africa after having been missing for a long time. That's a story anyway. The actual waterfall's called, or named after Queen Victoria on the British side, but the actual name is the Smoke That Thunders. It continues in common usage. Livingstone also cites the name of the Place of the Rainbow, which I just described. And and I said that as well. It's one of the largest in the world. I don't think there's anything else. Oh yeah, there is. If I scroll. Okay, actually I have the pictures open here. This is the picture that I showed you already. It's just a fantastic piece of nature. Probably one of the most wonderful things you can see in all of Africa. This is a panoramic picture from Wikipedia. Look at that. It's just something else. I mean, it's just breathtaking. So here we have the actual river coming along. It falls into the waterfall in this amazing gorge, which is the reason the waterfall exists, because for some reason there must be a much softer material or rock or sand there. The river kind of managed to dig its way down over the years and into this gorge, which I'll show you from above in a minute. And again, I don't want to show people too long, but these are some tourists who are really brave swimming to the edge and in the Devil's Pool, which is a natural formed pool in the waterfall itself. Let me just close these tabs and then I will show you the waterfall from Apple Maps. I believe here, I should have it open. Here we go. So this is looking down on it from way out. You can see it goes into these big lakes here. I thought these were Lake Victoria, but Lake Victoria is much further north than I had assumed. This is where see, Africa is on a plateau, so Africa is actually up quite high. So Africa isn't really in danger of being flooded by rising sea levels, for example, which made it very difficult to colonize in a sense, or for Africa to establish its own strong economy, because Africa is difficult to navigate by boat, and the fact that it's up so high again gives it this kind of this cliff feeling in general as a plateau. The entire continent is kind of much more raised out of the sea than Europe, for example, or parts of the States, and that is just an interesting concept, but also kind of makes sense why they have many beautiful waterfalls in there as well when you have that plateau edge. Here is an airport which may have been built to bring tourists to the waterfall, who knows, or it's just for the locals as well at that region. And then we have some more of these interesting circles. Yeah, okay, that's all I wanted to show you there. Economy, here are the stats on exports: platinum, cotton, tobacco, gold, and various others. Imports, all sorts, machinery to chemicals to fuels. The biggest export partners are neighboring South Africa, probably to the port there as well to ship the things out and beyond. The UAE, that's a very big, really big percentage. The UAE, that's curious. I wonder why that is. Hard to, I've no idea right here. China kind of makes sense for some of these materials. Belgium is a bit random to a degree, but of course Belgians were involved with colonies in those regions too, so maybe there's a historical tie. Mozambique, but yeah, UAE, that's a surprise to me there. I really can't catch why that is, and why Singapore. That's an interesting one too. I wonder, I need to do a video on Singapore to see why they're such a big deal for exports, because they're involved in a lot of this stuff. Maybe it's the platinum and gold going that way. In terms of demographics, yeah, really nice demographics, but really good fertility rate, as we expect from an African nation. Yeah, and then again about the tobacco companies. I'm not going to spend too much time on that now. I think I've kind of run out of time. I don't want to make this video too long. But I think, yeah, I covered in my research quite a lot of interesting places in Zimbabwe. I learned a lot more about their economy. The fact that they even have cotton there was kind of new to me as well. And yeah, overall, it is quite a fragile country, unfortunately, due to those inflation issues. But other than that, it's a really beautiful place, and it was a really cool country to explore in this video. So thanks for watching.